special card for Palestinian refugees. Lebanese government. Ministry of Immigration. The main director for handling the affairs of the Palestinian refugees in Lebanon certifies that this person is Palestinian, living in Lebanon, and in witnessing this, I have given this card. Chief Director for handling the affairs of the Palestinian refugees, Beirut. In this program, we will look at 3 Palestinian families who were displaced to Lebanon during fighting in Palestine in 1948 and have lived as refugees ever since. We'll look at how they got into this situation, their experiences since that time, and their hopes for the future. The land area currently occupied by the State of Israel was, for many centuries, named Palestine. The population was primarily Arabic-speaking and consisted of 70% Muslims, 20% Christians, and 10% Jews. Relations between the religious communities were cordial for generations prior to 1900. Palestine was a minor trade center because of its good ports at Jaffa and Haifa. Most of the people were farmers, and the Jaffa orange was world famous before the turn of the century. Palestine's importance was linked to its historic associations with many groups of people. It was the site of the birth of Christ, the Wailing Wall, and the Temple of the Rock, where Muhammad is believed to have ascended to heaven. The Ottoman Empire controlled Palestine for 4 centuries prior to the First World War. Great Britain received control of Palestine from the League of Nations at the end of the war. During the First World War, Great Britain had given promises of independence to native Palestinians in return for their participation in the war against the Turks. Great Britain made a similar promise to European Jews who sought to establish a Jewish-controlled state in Palestine. By the 1930s, Jewish colonists were arriving in large numbers from Europe. The British press, in reporting on Palestine, tended to be skeptical of their government's policy of establishing a Jewish homeland there.
Settling on the land is usually considered a peaceful occupation. From a distance, this Jewish colony in Palestine looks as romantic as a Dutch picture. Close to, it's different. Instead of white gates and flowers, it has a reinforced palisade running around it and a blockhouse at the entrance. The guards are Jewish colonists armed with shotguns. They watch all day, and at night they use a searchlight to spot Arabs. Here comes one, covered all the way by the man at the loophole. But it turned out that he was on a peaceful errand and had only come to buy food. In spite of the recent trouble in Palestine, this picture shows that Arabs and Jews can be friends. Still, the Jews are never certain. And as in the days of the prophet Nehemiah, even in the fields, the laborers carry arms.
As settlements of European Jews expanded in Palestine, fears grew among native Palestinians that they would be displaced from the land of their birth. These fears flared into violence and strikes in the 1930s.
This is the Gaumont British News, presenting the world to the world.
Peace has returned to Palestine. The Arabs have ended their 6-month strike. The object for which our troops were recently sent to the Holy Land has been achieved. Jewish settlement in Palestine is the cause of Arab discontent. This modern city of Tel Aviv already houses 100,000 Jews who have accepted Britain's invitation to make the Holy Land their national home, apparently with success. Arab towns nearby, built in ancient Eastern style, are in striking contrast. Naturally, the Arabs, old and young, resent the influx of the go-ahead Jews. They fear that the white man, with his totally different outlook, may oust them from their own country, back to the nomadic life of their forebears, driven to seeking pasture on the desert fringe.
Nazi persecution of European Jews brought a flood of new settlers into Palestine. By 1946, Jews in Palestine numbered almost a third of the population and owned 7% of the land. In 1948, the British withdrew from Palestine, leaving the area without a stable government.
there was a lot of violence. There were armed gangs which were trying to promote their respective points of view. Israeli armed gangs trying to promote an independent country. Arab armed gangs trying to oppose the establishment of the State of Israel. But in any case, Israel declared itself a state, I think it was in May 1948, and there was tremendous outburst of hostilities at that time. In fact, Arab countries came to the assistance of the Palestinians who were living in Palestine, and the hostilities were very widespread. 700,000 Palestinians left their homes and moved further away from the region where the violence was taking place.
90% of the Palestinian Arab population, both Christian and Muslim, were displaced from areas taken over by Jewish nationalists. The countries surrounding Palestine, Egypt, Transjordan, Syria, and Lebanon, allowed the displaced Palestinians to take refuge within their borders. When the State of Israel was established in Palestine in 1948, the Israeli government closed its borders to all but a fraction of the Palestinians displaced during the fighting. More than 500,000 native Palestinians were prevented from returning to their homes and properties. Their situation became desperate. 120 children were dying a night from exposure and malnutrition during their first months in exile. The United Nations established refugee camps in several nearby countries to shelter these people until allowed to return to their homes or receive compensation for their property from the Israelis. The camp populations were made up of people from all walks of life in Palestine. Many of the displaced were college-educated professionals and tradesmen. As the weeks of waiting to return to Palestine turned into years, the tent camps grew into small towns of cinder block and tin. They've waited nearly 40 years now.
The Palestinians themselves are still refugees. Many of them still live in refugee camps, not all, but many do. And the Israeli government maintains that policy that Israel is for people of Jewish origin, and therefore to maintain the sort of Jewish preponderance of the State of Israel, then Arab inhabitants are not let's say, made very welcome.
500,000 Palestinian refugees live in Lebanon, a country racked with civil war and foreign interventions. The Palestinian refugee situation can be seen in its starkest terms in this country. The Palestinians you will meet in this program are ordinary people. This is a view from the bottom. Rashidiyah Palestinian Refugee Camp, southern Lebanon. This is Abu Hussein. He has 11 children. He's from northern Palestine, near Haifa.
We had a school in our town, in Palestine, and I was in the 5th grade of elementary school when the year was 1948. I remember my father was a butcher. He was a butcher, and our relatives, naturally, were Falahi, peasants. I was 11 years old. And when the people went out of Palestine in the year of 48, naturally I left with my father. There were about 10 of us, the children with my father. The villages, the Palestinian villages, like our town, people began pouring out of the town. And where would they take refuge? To Lebanon, because the Jews dominated over the Arabs of Palestine. The Jews dominated over the Palestinians who were present. Naturally, they had more weapons and more supplies for war, and they were more accustomed to and experienced with war, you see. And we were a town of country people and peasants. My father was a meat cutter, and we were, all in all, just a poor group of people. These Jews were a warring people, and they had weapons. We left Palestine and came to Lebanon. When we came to Lebanon, when did we expect to return? About a month, 2 months. The situation would quiet down. We'd return to our town. The future that I was looking forward to, thinking of, was to finish my education. I finished up to the 5th grade in Palestine. But education here requires money. Money my father didn't have. In other words, my life became like that of a human being who exists and yet does not exist. No homeland, no money, nothing. We anticipated, in the hope that we would return to our home in Palestine. The hope was large. After we spent 3 years in Lebanon, the hope betrayed us. The UN opened this camp for the refugees here in Rashidia. We got up and came here, and we've been in Rashidia from then till now. I married and came to have a family and a large household, and that is the life before us, and the life before you as you see it.
There are more than 1.5 million Palestinians living as refugees today. A third of these people are still living in refugee camps run by the United Nations. When the State of Israel was established in Palestine, a law of return was enacted, which allows Jewish people from anywhere in the world to enter Israel and become citizens the same day. However, this law of return does not apply to native Palestinians who were born on that land or their children, simply because they are not Jewish. Abu Hussein has acquired 3 cows, a few goats, and some chickens. He supports the family by selling milk, eggs, and chickens in the camp.
تفضل البقرة. بقرة تكبش هون هاي بيما. كويس.
In my work in this country, I gathered a little money. I educated my eldest son with it. He went to America to study. I then have 10 children after him. In other words, I am hanging my remaining hope for the education of my children and the upbringing of my children on my son, whom I've educated.
Well, one thing is really obvious, that we don't have anything. We don't own property in Lebanon or business or anything else. Even our own houses, it's not our own property. It's the government's, since we're refugees, Palestinians. So the main thing that you can depend on as Palestinian, and you can really go forward in the future and build a good future, help your family out, your relatives, your friends, if you can. The only and only way is the education. That's the only choice. Education is like our own food. When I went to the Oakland University in Detroit, I was amazed that some people did not hear even about Palestinians, what the Palestinians are, or who are they, where do they live. And the other part of them, it's like they were scared of them as terrorists and killers, and they knew what the media and what certain officials and people in this country want them to know. You know, it's all up to them whether they want to understand, because sooner or later the sun is going to rise and the facts is going to be really very clear to the eye to see. Hussein is halfway through a master's degree in computer engineering. He's trying to earn enough money to finish his education. I was 13 years old. The first time that our camp was bombed by the Israeli ships from the sea, Israeli boats.
What year was that?
1973.
And can you describe that experience? Do you remember it?
Oh, I won't ever forget that scene. I was swimming, and I looked back to the seashore, and I saw my brother running towards the camp. You know, I wondered why. You know, what's going on? Why did he leave that fast? So the suddenly, like, I looked to the left towards Tyre City, like between the camp and Tyre City. I looked towards it, and I saw a big smoke on the seashore coming up. And the people, I mean, the guys that were swimming there were running left and right, like spreading all over the area. I asked myself, why? You know, what's going on? And I looked back towards the sea, and that was the horrible scene to me, the first scene, which is, I saw about 4 or 5 military boats, Israeli boats, were bombing the area. So I didn't know what to do but swimming towards the seashore. That's the only thing I knew. And I swam that day faster than ever. I want to ever swim that fast. You have to be your nerves are up 24 hours. You have to expect anything from the air, from the borders, which is about 25 kilometers away from our camp, from the sea. The military boats can get you any time. So it's like
You live in a deadly zone since that time.
How are you, son? I hope to God you're well. May God make you happy. Praise God, nothing has happened to us. We're all in sound shape and are well. It's true we were chased by some fear and misery, but praise God, none of us died. And praise God, our house is still standing. Your room and the storage cellar were hit, but it's okay. Come on, Elham. Come on. Don't you want to speak to your brother? Who is this speaking to him? I am Elham. Tell him I am Elham. Come on, record for your brother. Tell him I am Elham, and I am first in my class. What place were you in school, Elham? I came out fourth. Then why are you sad, my daughter? Does one who talks to his brother become sad? When is he going to visit us? If my son returns to Lebanon, he cannot work in anything, because he's Palestinian, and Palestinians are forbidden to work except in specialized jobs. And if he wants to work in a job he specializes in, he has to have a work permit. But they don't give work permits to Palestinians, because we are Palestinian, not Lebanese, not citizens. He will not work in Lebanon. No way.
For a Palestinian family from the camps to send a child to college is a great achievement, but many have succeeded. Many of these people have left the Arab world and are successful professionals in the United States, Europe, and South America. The camps are full of bright kids who will never have the opportunity.
My life here is without hope. As a Palestinian person living in this country since the year 48, I do not have any hope. My hope ended. My only wish was that I return to my country and live in my town. Now my hope has been cut. No hope has returned to me. I feel and I sense in myself. In other words, I am a human being. I am a person and not a person. Any human on this round earth has a homeland, a town. They tell me, you are Palestinian. Okay, where's Palestine? You are a Palestinian refugee. Where's Palestine? I look around me. I am Palestinian. I must return and settle in Palestine. Thus I see there is no Palestine. Hope has been cut off. My days that I spent in Palestine, the 11 years, those years are all that I lived. Though I am almost 50 years old, I am 11 years old. I still say I'm 11 years old. Of these years that I spent here, not one of them counts, not even one day, because I'm living in patience and bitterness and hardships. A home I do not even have like people. There is not anything before me that I can lean on called hope.
Most of the Palestinians in Lebanon don't live in refugee camps anymore. Ali lives here with her daughter's family in southern Lebanon. Ali spent 20 of the last 36 years living in refugee camps. She asked that her interview be filmed at her old house in Rashidiyah camp. Why did you leave Palestine in 1948?
We saw planes coming, plunging, bombing into the town. We were outside town. Our children were in the town and we were out. When the planes went away, we went home. At sunset, the planes came and bombed the fields and the town again. We fled to the orchard. We slept in the wilderness 3 days. We saw more planes coming from the west. I take refuge with God. They bombed Tarshiha, and they bombed Ayer, and they bombed the heart of the city and the fields around it. One man was decapitated. Another man from the Becca, who sold pomegranates, was also decapitated. He died in the yard. This one was injured and that one was injured, and we stayed in the wilderness. The next day, we went to return home. We saw a crowd of people who were leaving Tarshiha. We asked them, why are you leaving? The Jews have begun in Tarshiha, and they'll take you. We said we had to return to our home. I carried my little child, and my husband carried a child. Tell us it's not true. We have to go home. We had no food, nor drink, not even a change of clothes with us. They told us, either you go to Lebanon, or the Jews will take you prisoner. They've already reached the lower part of the city. We said we had to return to our home and get food for our children. I had a daughter 2 months old and a daughter 2 years old. We continued going up the road. What is 2 months? The girl was small and we had nothing. We had no money. We needed to eat. I kept crying while I left the town. By the time we reached Lebanon, I couldn't see from my eyes. We left. Don't blame me. We were under the shelling. The shelling frightened the people, and the people left the city. The plane was circling above us, but it didn't speak. It just shooed the people out. And the people, those coming from below Akka, from Haifa, they said, the slaughter going on in Deir Yassin, something that can't be imagined. Don't blame me. We were frightened. In other words, we were frightened for our honor as women, and our children, our young men and our parents. We all went out. When we came to Lebanon, it was finished. Relief workers gave out bags of flour. We would gather firewood, straw, twigs, whatever there was. We baked bread and ate. For 1 year, we neither worked nor received anything from anyone, except God, and the little bit of flour ration. There was nothing. Most of the infants died in those years, and the elderly died, and the little children died from the cold and the hunger. Whatever I tell you, say it's little. It was much worse than I can describe in words. We tasted days for one who has no homeland, nor a home, nor has dignity, nor existence. We came to the camp here. We lived 7, 8 months on the sand. We were boiled. God helped us. We got a little house. We opened a little bit of a shop. My husband worked in it. Our children, a family, God bless them. They worked in the summer and in the winter studied. Israel came. The house collapsed on us and my husband and son died. The children were small and we were afraid. I have a daughter in the north. They took us there and we buried them there because of the chaos here.
Ali has lived with her daughter's family ever since her husband and son died.
Bread. خبزة؟ خبزة. ايه. زبيلي صالونة. زبيلي صالونة. صالونة أمي.
Fatma was 2 months old when Ali carried her out of Palestine. She's been a stateless person ever since. Her husband teaches in a school for Palestinian children. She works part-time as an orderly in a hospital. The family lives on about $150 a month. Not a bad living for Palestinians in Lebanon. They're going to make pita bread today. Ahmed, Umali's son-in-law.
When we left the village, we have a donkey, and on the donkey there is a sack with two parts. They put me in one part, and they put her daughter in the other. And what happens now is that this daughter is my wife. So we were partners from the beginning, and it happens now to be so. The Palestinian people, I'll speak about the Palestinian people in Lebanon, because I live with them. I know what they want, how we live, and so. Truly, what we want is not in our hands. What Arab countries and leaders and governments want, because what we want is not what they want, and they do what they want. Truly, the first thing that we want, we hope and we like and we want, if we can go back again to our home in Palestine and live there. It's not just a beautiful dream or hope. No, it's an idea of our right. It's our right. But since if we can't do this, we want to live, to have safety, to have freedom, to live here in this country. Or this is personal opinion. I like, if I can't go back to my home and I can't live safe in Lebanon, I like to have an immigration to any country where I can find freedom and acceptable life for me and my children.
Tell us who these people are?
This one is my brother who died. This my father.
How did they die?
In the by Israel, in refugee camp. In 1975.
A UN crew filmed Umali shortly after the airstrike.
قلت لي يا زلمه جبتك اتخانوا منا فاك طلعنا اطلع هالولاد ما حسينا الا هالظلام دب علينا قلت له انظر يا زلمه ما فتحت الباب ولا هالكر علينا طلعت عليه ولا هالزلمه ممدد قلت له حبيبي شو صابك قال لي ما مني يا مر ولا ابني بنادي لي يا يمه يا يمه يا يمه قلت له حبيبي ما بقدر اطل عليك قلت هاقل علي انت لسمي تراب وعيني فتحت باب السر صرت اقول اشهد ان لا اله الا الله اشهد ان لا اله الا الله يا حبيبي ولا بقول لي يا مرة ضيقت طلعيني قلت له حبيبي انا بدي اموت حدك اجيت نمت حده قال لي ضيقت احملته هيك وطلعت على الشارع قلت له حبيبي يا عدو يا ويلكم من الله الله يظلمك وخربت بنته قال لي اشهد ان لا اله الا الله قلت له حبيبي بدك يا ابو عيالي سلامتك قال لي انا ما عاد مني قلت له سامحني يا حبيبي قال لي اني سامحتك ابني جاي خفت على ابني لانه يهبط عليه الحيطان وهو رايح قال لي ما بدي اموت حدك قلت له لا يا حبيبي سلامتكم ابوك خلص عديت على الملجأ اني اقعد انا واولادي جيت لقيت جوزي مشون قلت له حبيبي يما حسين ضايع ورفيق واحمد مشون دورنا بالبيوت كلها قلت الحمد لله ما زط ابني عديت بالله حبيبي نايم هيك قلت له حبيبي يا احمد يا يما ما تتأجوين لو عدوين ما بعرفوا الله يا حبيبي خربوا بيتي وموتنا الزامنة يا ويل من الله يا حبيبي
I would like the Palestinian people to return to the soil of our homeland, Palestine, from which our name is Palestinian, and not to live a life, the sweetest life in a land not our own. We're not happy nor tasting anything good, neither we nor our children. From the day we left 36 years ago till now, we won't desist until we have the right to return to our homeland. And we do have a homeland. We have fields and properties, but we are left outside our homeland, without our children, with nothing. We will not live except in our homeland, and that is the hour for which we pray.
Thousands of Palestinians from both inside and outside the camps were displaced again during the Israeli invasion of Lebanon in 1982. Some of those people wound up here in the displaced persons section of Badawi camp in northern Lebanon. For many, it's the second time in their lives they've been displaced into tents. Abu Muhammad, his wife and children, came here from central Lebanon during the invasion. They had been living outside the camps for 10 years.
I remember when my parents left Palestine. My age was about 3 years old exactly. Thank God some Lebanese people helped us out. And we stayed in a coarse, old sackcloth tent. After a while, the UN came out. They gave us tents in Nabatea camp. And after a while, they fixed up the camp for us. And we lived. In other words, we lived a little. We worked in manual labor. And we were eating and drinking. In one of those days, it had become 1972. In 72, when we were staying in the camp, there was nothing but Israeli planes bombing the camp. The camp was hit, and my mother was hit with it.
3,400 Palestinian refugees lived in Nabatea camp prior to the Israeli bombing.
وين العرب؟ وينه؟ وين العرب؟ وينه؟ وين الإسلام؟ وينه موجود؟ وين؟ بدي الإسلام انزتت هاي ببقعة صغيرة، مخيم بقعة صغيرة. لا سنة بتخرج أولادي من المدرسة، سنة بتخرج وأنا عن قصة أخت أحسن عربي وأحسن أجنبي في العالم كله.
هناك كله مدمر اليوم.
شد يابا المنبه بعد ما
يا ويلك يا ويلك صابينا.
Abu Muhammad's family and other survivors of the bombing of Nabatea camp moved into this abandoned prison in central Lebanon. Abu Muhammad's father and sister still live here. Why did your son go to Badawi camp?
When the Israelis bombed the city, the people charged out. And as the people fled, so did they. The people all poured out, and he went with them. He took his family with him, and we stayed here. First, there's no settling down. Second, there's no home in which I may live. There's no homeland. There's no identification card. There's no passport. There's no security for my children. My boys. Or for my wife, there's no security. Where am I going to go with them? Every time an Israeli airstrike occurs, I take them someplace for the purpose of hiding them, to keep them safe. There's no settling down. Where is the conscience of humanity? Where's America? Where's Britain? Where's France? Where's the United Nations? Let them come and protect these people and these small children. I grew up like this, and I'm still tortured, and I'm still afflicting my children, and I regret that I had children to live amidst these tragedies.
Factional warfare in Lebanon, as well as Israeli airstrikes, regularly hit the camps. As with most of the fighting in Lebanon, the casualties are usually civilians. On this night, the fighting is about a mile from the camp. Nothing to worry about. Abu Muhammad's eldest son is 3 years old, the same age his father was during the flight from Palestine. Like his father, he's growing up in a tent.
Today in the Near East, a suffering people, the Palestine Arab refugees, are struggling for survival. 750,000 of these Arab refugees are dependent upon charity for their very existence. This is one of dozens of camps in which these refugees huddle in squalor. In these camps of misery live the scores of thousands whose native land was for centuries Palestine. Then the tragedy of war descended on that holy land and made them wanderers. Today they have no alternative but to camp in the sands which surround their former country and wait. This is a problem which cries out to the civilized world for a quick, a humanitarian, a permanent solution.
There's no work in the camp. The refugees can get jobs as fruit pickers in nearby groves, but the work is only seasonal. Relief agencies provide tents, clothing, and food rations to the families living here.
Yes, ماشي. 4.
هذا ابو عماد.
My one dream, which any person among us hopes for as Palestinians, my one dream is my country. It is Palestine. My one dream is to see my children free to roam in their homeland, in their true home. My one dream is to see them learning in their country. This one an engineer in his country, a doctor in his country, a representative, a minister in his country. This is my one dream for which I hope. I personally, I'm not a politician, nor am I a military expert, but I sprang from these people. Of these people, I say the dream of these people, my dream is to return to my country. And the dream of my son, the same thing. He's going to become like me. Why? I will tell you why. Because my son is also going to think, if he remains like this, he's going to think of his country, that he has no homeland, he has no land. This is not a dream, this is a hope. This is true, not just a dream, this is a hope. And truly, this is a predicament, that I'm still stranded here. What would you hope for me? That I live by settling down. Settlement won't occur except in my country. In what country am I going to settle? In what country? There is none. There's no settlement for me except in my country. Because my predicament is like this. Because I'm living in this area. How? In what hope am I going to live? Other than to live in my country? Thank you.